97.5 and KDWRadio.com, broadcasting from the Bishop West Real Estate Mobile Tower right here in Northport, Florida. We've got a very, very special guest in the house who did a magnificent job. One during the whole Ian process, I would say, at this point. Really a 1 month veteran of our city, kind of stepping in and really educating himself on everything that goes on within the city, and then taking on this massive undertaking and being the spokesman for our city and representing us extremely well. I've got Jason Bartolone in the house today. How are you doing, Jason?
I'm doing great, John. Thank you for the kind words. I appreciate that.
Well, I a lot of respect to you. 1 month into this, it could not have been easy.
It was a trial by fire. Many people have commented, not exactly what I expected. It didn't come up in my job interview, but, that's what we're here for. And so I'm very proud of the team that we had and the coordination with all the people across the city and our other partners to keep people informed through this whole ordeal that we've all been through.
Can you talk about the situations we have right now? And let's start with our canals and try to give people some good information that they can share with their family, friends, and loved ones.
Sure. The good news is, a lot of our water control structures held up and did what they were supposed to do. So that's great. A lot of the work, we've talked about this before, and I know you're very knowledgeable in this area, John, about how the way those structures and the way our waterways are meant to work and keep that water moving and flowing through Northport. And while we got a historic level of rain and water, it's hard to handle all that at once. And so that's why we saw the flooding that we did. This was people are saying a 500-year storm. So it's not something that anybody really can plan or expect until it happens to you. But the good news is that the water levels have certainly come down drastically from where they were just a week or two ago. And everything held up pretty well. The water control structure 106, that's the one that you may have heard about that had some issues. It's behind the Winn-Dixie on 41.
Yep.
It did have a washout. And so there was some concern from people. There was a lot of misunderstanding and misinformation at the height of the storm, as happens during events like this. There was a situation outside of the county, even outside of the city with another structure, and people were confused about a dam breaking and worried about water levels. We had a washout at that 106 water control structure. It caused a little bit of flooding in that parking lot, and we did advise people in the immediate area to kind of stay away, but certainly nothing catastrophic. We don't even have dams, so a dam didn't break.
Correct.
The good news is that 106 is stabilized, and the work is almost essentially complete there. We had an emergency contractor come in and do some of the emergency repairs to stabilize that and that bank there. And now they're going to be finishing up in the next few days here the final work that needs to be done. So great news there that a lot of the infrastructure has held up and did what it was supposed to do.
And we really didn't have a failed infrastructure. We just had an overpressured infrastructure, didn't we?
We did. I mean, as I said, we talk about a 50-year flood or a 100-year flood. People are calling this a 500-year storm. The amount of water that we got dumped on us for the amount of time that we did from essentially a Category 5 storm is just, there's only so many places that water can go. There's only so much you can do. So, the great news is that, again, all of those structures did what they were designed to do. And once the water levels receded, we've done a lot of assessments. They're all in relatively good shape.
Well, we've had a lot of flooded areas that have receded and drastically receded with time. But that has to do a lot with the pressure that we were feeling with the transition of water that took place during the storm. Also, the storm waters that were coming from up north. We still had like a double whammy going on at the same time, trying to have this water released. And I just want you to reassure people that during the storm, and we talked about this, post storm and before, we actually had our water reduced down 14 inches in the Blue Ridge Lake area, and try to control the amount of rain that we were going to take on, far beyond what we normally would do because expectation of this storm. And we also had the gates open at 100%. So these gates they were not controlled at that point. They were wide open and we were just moving water. But we also had high tide. We also had different things that kind of affected that, didn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Just kind of a perfect storm of events. And as you said, we were doing work. Public Works was doing great work weeks before this event in preparation because we knew that water levels were high. We knew that there were, heavy, rains to the north of us that was going to come our way. And so they were doing that work for weeks and weeks, not even knowing that there was going to be a hurricane. And so we were in pretty relatively good shape and prepared for that.
What are we going to do with the infrastructure of our roads now? I know Price Boulevard is really being assessed in a completely different fashion. I know they're desperately working on it to try to get it back and opened up because it is a major road that we utilize. That has to be addressed in hot step right now. I would imagine. Just they need 4 lanes there. We need the waterways need to be reassured that if this ever happened again, that those roadways are not going to be washed away. All these things are now being looked at in a completely different fashion, aren't they?
They are. First I have to give you the good news. If people haven't heard from just yesterday, there's 4 different waterway crossings on Price that were affected and essentially closed, although portions of the road are open in between. The McCaughey Waterway, that crossing has been completed. It's been fixed and it's been reopened as of yesterday afternoon. So now between Salford and Cranberry on Price, you can get through. We're working diligently to get the other ones open as soon as we can. We know how important Price is as a thoroughfare east to west and getting around the city. So we're doing everything we can. The contractor has done great work. And if you really step back and put it in perspective if you've seen the photos, we've shared them on the city's social media accounts and the media have picked up on it in the local media. There was some devastation really to some of those areas of the roadway, and to have those done and complete is really remarkable in the amount of time they did. There's still some utility work that has to be done before they can resurface on a couple of those other crossings, but we're going to get that done as soon as we can. Also, Hillsborough Boulevard just opened today, so between Cranberry and Chamberlain. So another good news, that road had some serious damage as well. But to your point, the idea is now to build back better, right? We've heard that phrase before, but we're thankful to have the assistance from FEMA and federal assistance that's going to help to get those projects done because they're emergency repairs. But the idea is to build back better, and it highlights the importance. We've talked about widening of Price Boulevard, right, with the surtax and the importance of that to help pay for these kind of infrastructure projects. And so, that's going to be on the ballot in November. And this storm and this event just highlights the importance of our infrastructure and having it, sufficient for our needs and able to withstand, hopefully never an event like this, but we know there's going to be storms in the future and we want to be prepared.
Do you think that the attention that we've gotten now with Ron DeSantis being here and having him do a flyover, and he really got to see the videos before he got here, but he was truly affected by what he saw? Do you think that having leadership up the chain, so to speak, is going to enhance decision making on the federal side of things, maybe to put funding here? We're unique that we have 80 miles of canals in our city. We don't have another city in the United States that has this, and it does separate us from anyone else in that regard. But what's your take on that?
Well, I think you're right. Anytime you have, the governor coming to town and being able to see firsthand, I was out there. I was lucky enough to be there when the mayor and the city manager were able to go out with the governor to tour in the estates area and to see the flooding, to see those water levels firsthand. And to have that relationship now, We had the First Lady of Florida here at our FEMA DRC center, the Disaster Recovery Center. So to have that attention put on Northport and to have those relationships that our elected officials have with the state politicians, with the federal agencies like FEMA that are here helping us now. We have a legislative analyst who works for the city that works with those entities and gets us in touch with our local representatives at the state level. Those relationships are very important. And this is why, because we need their assistance. And to hear the governor say that, we're going to be here after the news cameras, right? We're going to be here after this event. It's not just when we're at the peak of the flooding and, the pictures you see on TV, but we're going to be here to help afterwards. And that means a lot to our community.
And, we've been repairing a lot of our structures in our canalways. We've got the amphibious vehicle that we now have that, post events make me remember everybody's conversations that say that we didn't need to really pay attention to our waterways. We didn't need to clear our canals. The one thing that I did see is that we had, while we were expected to have debris, I don't think we had as much debris in our canals that we could have had if we weren't out there actively addressing that situation year after year after year. Do you want to talk a little bit about the infrastructure and how Public Works actually does monitor that and make sure that our waterways flow well?
Absolutely. I mean, we have a very active program, and with our stormwater people that are looking at those waterways and being proactive to get those canals and get that debris out of there and cleared anytime, because we don't want to experience when we have heavy rains, we experience flooding. So, to be proactive and to put us in position so that we don't make a bad problem worse. So when a storm comes our way, we don't want to contribute to it. There's only so much we can do, again, when we get that water dumped on us initially, but to be proactive, to get those waterways cleared. We have a great video that our team just produced, and I think you're going to be able to share that with your listeners and viewers. But if you go on to the city's Facebook page or social media accounts, there's a video that we put together called Why We Flood. And it's really just an explainer for people who maybe haven't been here before or, aren't experts like you, John, to understand, the issues that may compound things. And it also touches on what we do as a city to be proactive to help counter that.
And really, the Northport website has been a huge communication for you guys. I want to talk about the communication because I've been out talking to people on the street, trying to get feedback, trying to hear what their complaints are. And some of them, while valid, I want to talk about a post-event situation that we just had. 1, 2 days, you're stuck in your house. 3 days, you're stuck in your house. We're educated in advance, far in advance, because we have hurricane season. So anybody who moves to Florida knows we have these. If they don't, when hurricane season rolls around, everybody's talking about preparation. And so with all that preparation, most people should have more than 12 hours worth of food and water in their house. So that 12-hour window that you panic because you don't have food and water, that's on you. And really, you should be prepared for a week or two, really, or longer. Dry goods are great to have. Water and bottled water, all these things are great to have. But I want to talk about the fact that looky-loos or people who go over road closures, and I used this example to you earlier today, that the movie Speed had the bus that went on a road closed, and they found out, oh my gosh, the road's not closed and the bridge wasn't finished, so they had to jump a bus from one access point to the other. We had some pretty selfish people in our town just decide that they needed to drive around the trucks that were blocking the roads, and really cause more damage, I believe, to the road structures themselves, because we're driving on sand and we're really making a sponge out of our road. Can you talk about that and really kind of highlight what people should do, and how long they should stay off the road, and wait for the all clear?
Sure. You know, we are not Keanu Reeves, okay? So everybody just needs to remember that. Here at the city and your local government, the health and safety and welfare of our citizens is first and foremost in everything that we do. And so when we go into an emergency, the messages that are put out by the city, by the experts, they're important, and you need to listen to them because it's meant for your health and safety and welfare. So if there's a road closure, we know that it's inconvenient, right? We get it. We live and work here too, and we have to go around and take the long way around sometimes when a road is closed, right?
Right.
It's inconvenient for all of us. It wasn't easy for me to get home when I-75 was closed, and that meant another day at City Hall when I really wanted to go home and take a shower. But we understand that it's inconvenient, but it's for your safety. And so if there's a sign up there, please listen, please adhere. We've had a road conditions map up that we've produced almost daily since the event. And while things have certainly calmed down and slowed down, except for those few we've talked about on price, things are a lot better than they were a week or two ago. But that's there for your knowledge and for your understanding. And we ask you to please listen to it. We were urging people for days to stay home because they're impeding the life safety, the rescues, our rescue crews that are out there. They're impeding the delivery of goods and supplies that we needed by clogging up the roads, being out in traffic. If you don't have to, you're not helping the rest of the community. So we understand people want to get back to regular life. We understand it's inconvenient when the roads closed or when some parks are closed. But it's for your safety. It's not just to make life harder for anybody else. It's there for a reason. So we need people to listen.
And William English, Bill, or Chuck, he said bleach, but I'm sure that's a typo. He had a structure breach in his neighborhood, and it went down 18 inches overnight. We did see a lot of that because of how things were being managed, but we saw a lot of that because when tide goes out, it releases a lot more water, doesn't it?
Right.
And so we cycled a couple times in a 24-hour period of time, and that really helped us relieve that pressure off of our canals and get that water moving out quicker, and dispensing that water where it should be. And that did help us a lot. And he also said exactly, it was the perfect storm based on poor decisions and inadequate drainage, and the poor development. But these storms, even though some of these canal waterways have been 60 years, maybe 70 years ago, or longer, we're addressing these on a regular basis. And Bill or Chuck is extremely knowledgeable in this area too, and he knows that we do have issues, and we're addressing those with the new infrastructures. We're also looking at the depth and how to control all those things. Do you think that assessment of our canals is going to go more in depth now that this storm has happened, or do you think it'll maintain that same level as before?
I think it's going to be the same level because, as you said, there are people who are experts in this field, way more knowledgeable than me or you. Yeah. And so, they've been looking at this closely. And while the storm may put more of an emphasis in the public, we as a city, we know the importance, and we know the importance of improving the infrastructure. And so there's been a plan in place. They've been working on that, and they're going to continue to work the best they can to get that, in the best shape they can.
So I want to talk a little bit about communications when a storm like this happens, because you're new to our area, but you also got thrown into where everybody else got thrown in. And, I was on the air talking right up until I lost internet. Well, when internet goes away, a lot of people's communication goes down if they have cell phones that are Comcast. So that goes away. We had cell phone towers compromised, and that really hurt communications out. So now we didn't have the website, we didn't have these things, and I did talk to one guy, and he said, "Why don't we do ham radio?" And I'm like, "All right, so that would all be well and good if everybody was ham radio ready, but what happens in an all clear on a normal scenario where if just everybody hunkered down, wouldn't the police force, if there wasn't any communication out there, wouldn't they be going through with their mic giving the all clear unless everybody just decides, oh, it's all clear anyway, I don't have to worry about it and do what we did?
Right. The communication outages affected not only the public, but they affected us as well. We lost power at a lot of our facilities. We lost a lot of our communications, certainly cell phone service. So it put a hamper on everything, including our own emergency responses. So, we had to deal with the same challenges. Obviously, a huge challenge for me as a communicator, and especially in today's day and age, because so much of what we do is digital and it's on website and social media. And so we try to reach people however we can. In that period there where we had no power and no communication, we were calling in as best we could. If we could get a cell signal from anybody's phone to call local media that in the area that might have still be up, whether that's radio or TV stations, so for the people that could hear that message, to share that, and then hopefully share that with their friends and family and community members. Printing flyers. We've put flyers and sandwich boards out there, even still now, because we know there are sections of the community that are hard to reach. And so putting information out, kind of going old school, sandwich boards and getting our electronic message board signs. We've had those up throughout, and the messages have changed. It was in the early days, it was turn around, don't drown. And the boil water notice, those essential things, to get those out on the main thoroughfares for people to see. So at least they would see some messaging. So, certainly a challenge for everybody that we all had to deal with, and, not anything easy, but we're trying to reach people across the spectrum in any way we can to get messages out. We had the text alerts, the NP Strong, that people could sign up for, and hopefully they signed up for previously, but through Alert Sarasota County, to get those, phone and text alerts leading up to the storm. And now hopefully everybody has learned that that's a useful tool to have for this important messaging. But just trying to reach people wherever we could to get our messages out.
And we talked about the road, we talked about different things, but if people see anything wrong, they really can report with the Northport Report app, right? North Report.
They can. Yep. You can search in the App Store for North Report, and it's a great tool. Lots of people were using it before this, and I know there's a lot out there to be reported. So please bear with our public works team, because they're just getting inundated with things, as you can imagine. But you can certainly call the city as well. Let us know if you see infrastructure down and signs, and we're working as diligently as we can to get those things addressed.
Well, I know you have a hard out at 3:30. I'm going to continue to go with the show after that, and really kind of talk about other topics, which is health or homeowners insurance. And I just got off the phone. We're going to have a guest on next Friday to talk about that, and really highlight where people may have gone wrong on their own insurance situations right now. But if you had to give a grade right now for the city and for how fast things have moved forward, where would you put it?
Well, I might be a little biased, I have to say, and then the city signs my paychecks. But I saw an A+ effort from my teammates, and I'm very proud of the response from across the board. Public Works getting roads back open in the amount of time that they did, getting our trash and debris pickup. We know that people are still dealing with those piles, and we know it's going to be a long effort. But if you look at the amount amounts, the total tonnage and the cubic yards, we're at over 200,000 cubic yards that have been picked up of storm debris just in the city. And to get that amount of effort done compared to what we saw from Irma, looking at that response, it's really incredible. It's really incredible what we've done. And so I'm very proud, certainly, of the first responders and the way they responded to this emergency. It's just been an incredible effort by a lot of really dedicated public servants.
And the fact that we have lights on our roads, we have traffic control. We're 2 weeks out now. I remember Charlie, where we didn't have that in Port Charlotte for a while, and I hate to say that we've had enough of these now, where we're getting better at it, but the mobilization side of it from a state standpoint and the local commitment to working with others to get this done in a timely fashion, it has to be a monster undertaking.
It really does take everybody. And our city manager likes to say it's a community of unity. So it's us working together with so many nonprofits and organizations and just everyday people, and the state, federal, county partners. Sarasota County has been great to us to help our community rebound. So it's been a tremendous effort.
Hey, we're 1 minute late. You got to go. Jason Bartolone, I appreciate everything. And please come back and join us. I look forward to talking to you every time.
I will. I'll be happy to do it, John. Thank you so much.
We'll talk to you soon. All
right.
So everybody out there in listening land, we've got a very special guest next week coming in from Allstate. He is definitely going to be somebody you want to listen to. He's going to talk to you about insurance in the future here. Anybody who's out there right now who's contemplating selling, slow your roll. Seriously, I mean, if you got to get out, you got to get out. But I've watched so many commercials on YouTube where they're fear mongering and they're trying to get you to make a rash decision. Okay. Honestly, the I Buy Homes guys that are out there right now, yeah, they're going to buy your house. They're going to give you pennies on the dollar. And that's what they do for a living. Just slow down. If you have to interview realtors, please, I'm not going to mislead you. There are a lot of us out there that are going to try to slow you down, make maybe some common sense decisions. And, when it comes down to it, I think everybody has to try to network together right now and really find somebody to trust. Find somebody who can go over what your game plan is, set you up with the right team, and then go forward. But in a panicked rage right now, because there are a lot of people out there that are just truly panicked, there are enough of us out here who are just trying to give a helping hand, and we're not trying to manipulate you to moving out of the state. We're trying to get you to slow down a little bit, let the processes play out, and get everybody to level ground again. And as far as the insurance companies that are out there, there's some information that next Friday you need to hear. Whether you currently have insurance and you didn't get hit, you need to pay attention and you need to assess policies. There's just a good way to go about it, and getting with your insurance carrier even today. These people that are out there that say, I got you covered and you're good for $695 a year, I'd question that move 24/7. Just because it's cheap doesn't mean you have coverage. You need to think about it. If we're going to get hit by hurricanes and you're not covered, you want to get with a carrier or a representative who's going to insure you, who's going to talk to you like it's your home. Okay. And he's going to insure you like it's his home. If you don't do that, you're doing yourself an injustice. While you're going to pay more, it's all about the coverage that you need today. So many people right now don't have coverage because they went and listened to somebody who said, I can get you that cheaper. I can get you that policy so you can get a house. But if you start looking at numbers, you start looking at what it pays out and how. You look at the companies that are A rated. We've got A rated companies that are leaving the state. We've got to be careful as a community to kind of wrap our hands around people and say, listen, if you don't talk about these things in open dialogue, when are you going to talk about them? You got friends, family, loved ones that really are making decisions on a financial side because things are tight. That extra $100 a year or $100 a month today, there's people out there that are paying $25,000 deductible. $100 a month person doesn't have $25,000, and they're in a world of hurt. And FEMA, while there to help, it's not going to cover all the expense that is entailed in total wipeout of your home. I really hope that over the next several months, different topics will be presented to you in a different format so that we can have good conversations. If you have topics that you want to talk about, that you want more information on, text me 941-391-4663. Let me know what they are. I will absolutely do my best to get it out there. I saw that Chuck English said, when is the debate between Victor and Phil? I need to get with both those guys and get that out there. I definitely want to do that. I had great conversations with both of these guys. They're both posted on Facebook, Real Talk 97.5 FM. I promise you, you should go watch both, because if you're voting right now in a situation where we've got early voting going on and you haven't watched or listened or met either one of these guys, watch my shows. Make your determination based off of that. Honestly, that's better than nothing at all. An educated voter is the best way to go. An uneducated voter, thank you for voting, but get educated and at least know your facts about where you stand. That's the simplest way I can put it, because for 4 years now doing this show, I have continued to say, I want people just go vote, just go vote, just go vote. Now I can add in, why don't you get educated before you pull the trigger? You know, there's nothing going to hurt you by doing a little research to find out how it's going to affect your community. Chuck English knows firsthand that if we have a diverse group of people leading our town, that it doesn't just take one. It takes a team of people to make a decision. You've got five commissioners. It takes 3 to get something done. We have one heck of a good city manager. Jason is a product of greatness. And I've only known him a little over a month now. And it was because I got introduced during a hurricane. But the job that he's done, the coordination he's done, the effort he's put in, even jumping on the show at night to try to educate people on what's happening in our city. I can tell you firsthand, there's nobody resting. Everybody's out there working as hard as they can. Our town is getting cleaned up in a much quicker fashion than I ever expected. And he said the same thing. If you don't think we're in good hands, go south. Not that they're not doing a good job, but their devastation is totally different than ours. I have watched the videos. I haven't been down south in person. I don't necessarily want to go down there while I can, because I'm media. I want to stay out of the way of progress. I want to make sure that everything I'm talking to you about is the same reason that I think that we did a great job here, but I also think that citizens need to step back and realize how much has happened so quickly in our town. I don't think we're giving just due where it should be given. And those of you who are doubters, you're always doubters, but those of you who are doubters, you're not forgotten. Nobody forgot where you were. Nobody forgot that you were on an island on Salford. My sister in law was there. She was not forgotten. I went to the bridge. I didn't drive over the closed bridge. I tried to stop people from driving over it, but we walked things over to her on the other side so she could return back home so she had more supplies. Appropriate way to do it. We didn't do any destruction to the bridge. I talked to a lot of people whose comments were, I need to get through. The problem that I have with that whole thing on a personal note is that anytime that bridge is closed, it's closed for a purpose. And it was the only way in and out for fire rescue. And if you thought going out and looky-looing was of value, you're sadly mistaken. And that selfish attitude needs to be put into check. So if you know anybody who took that, I'd love to talk to them just so they could go out and looky-loo, because they put everybody else's life in jeopardy that may have needed first aid, emergency services from the shock. I've watched so many people who have had chest pains. They're taking nitroglycerin now. I've watched panic attacks. I've watched all of these things happen to people who thought they were ready for this. People were not ready for what happened to their town. A lot of people were ready in preparation to stay home and to hunker down. And at the end of the day, next year when there's hurricane season, I got to tell you, anybody that's here right now who's been through this, if you haven't learned anything, one of the comments is you can't fix stupid. And I got to agree with them. You can't fix stupid. And that's the same person who's going to go out and do stupid things. We're not just going to stop them, okay? But as a community with unity, as the city manager says, I think we all need to step up and do our part and support the city, support what they're doing, whether you are on their side all the time or not. Really just grow up, because there isn't anybody right now that isn't focused on getting this city up and running full tilt. I'm just telling you, there's no one who's sabotaging the effort to make sure Northport is a better place after this. And I got to tell you, every community that was affected by this, their leadership is thinking the same daggone thing. So if you're a naysayer, grow up, keep your comments down. I know you're going to complain. People do that for a living. Just maybe pick your battle a little different. Maybe don't make it personal. Make it general. Okay. The personal attacks, I just hate adults acting like children on Facebook and making it personal attacks and going after somebody or a business or a commissioner or a city manager or radio station. We're all in this together. We're all fighting the same battle. We're all doing things the best we can. Volunteer, find out. If you have that much time on your hands to hide behind Facebook and cause all kinds of grief, go volunteer and help somebody. I promise you there's somebody out there that needs a hot meal, that needs a hand maybe carrying trash to the street. If you've got that ability, please go help them. There's nothing better in the world. John Cook, I'll put your post up. I'll read it out loud. The longer everybody fights, the longer it's going to take to clean up the mess. It's time to get along and put everything behind us. John Cook, I can't even begin to tell you. I think we've been preaching this all along anyway on this show, that seriously, we've seen a lot of good people, and I've said this from the first night. We've seen a lot of good people doing great things. I wish that somebody would put down what they've done. I'll post it. What have you done in your community? Who have you talked to? What have you done to support just a neighbor? These are stories that we need to share. I've got family members down, they're out helping. I've got somebody living in my house. He's trying to get back home. There's situations that happen with that I could get on here and I could complain until I'm blue in the face. Here's the problem. We don't have it bad here. We have it worse down south. We actually have it good here in comparison to what happened elsewhere. And yet the recovery here is absolutely amazing. It's off the charts. And I've listened to people say, I just had to leave. I just had to get out. I just had to see. Well, think about that. The more people that had that attitude were the more people that were in the way, the more people that were moving signs and driving on closed streets. Seriously, let's all take a step back. Let's help a neighbor. If your neighbor is struggling right now, trying to figure out insurance and FEMA, help them out. After this is done, there are a lot of people that are going to need a good insurance agent to really sit down, not somebody on the internet, somebody to sit down and give them real truth, real facts. How am I covered? What would you do if it's yours? What is the number? Is it ever going to get better? All of these things. Next week, I'm telling you right now, next week, we're going to talk about all these things. We're going to talk about what's going to affect insurance rates in Florida from a national perspective. You need to understand it. This state was destined to lose about 6 more carriers pre-Ian. 6 more carriers. Not little carriers, big carriers. You know, the last several storms out there have devastated our insurance, and we were just rebuilding. I got to tell you, I'm wondering at this point why insurance companies were calculating, and it was because we hadn't been hit. And I know that they were hedging their bet. They just didn't get out soon enough. They didn't. We need to assess what we have. We need to protect ourselves. You need to pay the insurance price. You just do. Extremely important conversation today, John. Thank you. Ginger, thank you for being an avid listener. I appreciate it. You know, it's all these things matter. I never knew that I was going to spend so much time on the radio. I never knew any of these things 4 years ago. I didn't know about our canals 4 years ago. I didn't understand the water flow and how it happened. I'm going to tell you right now, just having all of that knowledge, knew what was coming, understood what was coming. Did I think our canal systems could hold up? I got to tell you, I didn't think they'd hold up as good as they did. That's the truth. Think about that for a minute. They held up better than I think anyone in the city thought they would, because we didn't lose infrastructure. We actually had erosion around the sides. Okay. That was the amount of water that was coming into our town, not just from the storm, but from up north. All of these things matter. And it's all going to come out in the wash when insurance companies reanalyze what's happening. Keep in mind, we're going to talk about the open. If you're going to sell and you got an open insurance policy, open claim, you're not selling until it's closed. So if you're anxious right now and you've got an open insurance claim, slow your roll, take your time, take a deep breath, get your stuff out, get your house dried out, slow down enough to reassess, and then get with somebody. Call me. I don't want to list your house. I don't want to sell your house. I don't. I want you to stay put. We'll try to get you resource. We'll try to help you. I've been doing this since the storm. I have never played general contractor before, but I've now learned how to do that. There are a lot of people in our community doing the same thing for a lot of people. I know that RJ right now the man's probably a professional at filling out the FEMA information, because effective like the second day, he had already done 200 applications. He's still doing those applications at the chamber in Northport. So if you need assistance, it's there. You can go right over to STC at the Shannon Staub Library at Cranberry and Toledo Blade. Go see all the insurance companies that are there. If workforce is there, if you need work, there's plenty of work out there now. All right, not joking, it's there. If you've got the physical ability to do these things, you're there. You can go to the mall. There's more things at the mall, more condensed, busier. If you're going to do FEMA, Chamber of Commerce in Northport or STC, great locations to go. I hate to like burst everybody's bubble that knows about the secret of going to both of those locations because of the quick turn and the fact that you're going to get some help. But really, find your resources. Don't be scared to go and talk to somebody. And by all means, if you're talking to somebody out of state and you're getting your information from somebody that's not here, who hasn't talked to anybody, don't listen to what they're saying. And if they've been through Charlie and they think they know what FEMA's doing, really, there's no trailers here. Not in Northport. They're not going to give you a trailer. Haven't heard one word about that. That was a different time and a different place. Go directly and get your information from FEMA. You're going to sit in front of a representative. Take the worry away by getting the truth up front. Just like you need to talk to your insurance agent with really bold facts. Are you protected? How are you protected? And if it was their house, would they take that policy? Next week, next Friday, I hope y'all tell your friends. You're going to find out more about the insurance industry. And I've already had insight and conversation about that prior to doing the show. I know it's going to be helpful. Some of the things I'm telling you right now, some of you are finding out it's too late, and I'm sorry. I am truly sorry. But find resources. There's money. There are organizations out there that are trying their best. Don't fall for scare tactics. Don't get anxious. Slow down and make good, sound decisions. If you're paying cash, gosh, if you don't slow down, you're going to pay cash. Get permits for your roof. Can't recommend that any higher than what I'm doing right now. Through Charlie, we used to say that's a Charlie roof. We're going to say it's an Ian roof now. And getting permits is a problem or getting your house sold is a problem if you don't pull permits. And that might tighten up worse now than back then. If you don't know about the roofing scam that was going on before this, it's going to just blow you away. You may have a perfectly good roof, and you'll have a roofer climb up there and tell you got storm damage. It was happening before this storm. It was validated, and that's why we lost insurance companies prior to this. Think about that before you file, because you might not have insurance anymore. And a 20-year roof, they're projecting good to 10, and then your rate goes up after that because they only want to insure roofs to 10 years. Even if it's a 20-year roof, your policy will go up. Next week, have your questions ready. Be ready for the truth, because it will be spoken next Friday on this show. 110% guaranteed. You're going to find out. Please share this information. I can't believe I talked for a half hour, because I could go on about this stuff for a lot longer. Please take care of each other. Please hug your neighbor. Tell them hello. Make sure that you're checking on anybody who's homebound. We have a lot of people displaced, a lot of people that don't have homes to go back to. They're fragile. My wife have this saying, my wife and I have this, I'm the hard one and she's the soft one. And Joe, who's staying here with us, yep, I'm that guy. I'm the one that's going to push. She's the one that's going to hug him a lot more, and make sure that you have somebody soft to talk to. But also, don't get mad at the people like me that are going to push you to try to get you motivated to get your life back in order. It's vital that you move forward. It's vital that you know you're not alone. And it's vital that you know there's a lot of help out here. Have any issues at all, you want a topic discussed, 941-391-4663 is my cell phone number. Hasn't rang yet, so I guess I'm doing pretty good. But if you need any help, let me know. I'm here. The radio station is here. We're going to continue to put out as much information as we can on multiple other shows. But I appreciate each and every one of you for listening in today. And make sure you get this information out. Debbie McDowell will be on this show on Monday. And then a very special guest to talk about insurance and what's our future and where we're going next Friday. Please join us. Please share the information and have a great night. And y'all relax and drink one for me. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.